Welcome back. We've heard from the government already this morning. Time for the opposition. Earlier, I spoke to the Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Philp. Chris Philp, the Cabinet Minister, Heidi Alexander, says to me this morning that fairness will be the guiding principle of the autumn budget. Some people might think that's a hint of tax rises.
Yeah, that sounds to me like a barely disguised reference to tax rises coming in the autumn, even though Rachel Reeves promised last year there would be no further tax rises. She said that very clearly to the CBI. So why are Labour now talking about tax rises? Well, it's because they're in the process of crashing the economy. We've seen our economy shrink 2 months in a row now. That hasn't happened by accident. It's happened because Labour increased taxes and they are increasing regulation. We're seeing unemployment go up as well. That's now 12% higher than it was when Labour came to office. And they've also completely failed to reform welfare. They can't get anything past their own backbenchers. The consequence of all of that is going to be tax rises for people who are working hard and on businesses. It's nothing to do with fairness. By the way, it's a symptom of Labour failure.
If you cared so much about welfare reform, why didn't you help them in the vote?
Well, we set out the conditions that we would want to see met.
You set out conditions that you knew that they couldn't meet. Well, if you cared so much about it, why didn't you vote for their bill?
Well, by the time the bill came to the floor of the House, it had been gutted by their own backbenchers. And far from saving money, the bill which Labour finally presented to Parliament is actually going to cost more money because Keir Starmer is so weak he can't even stand up to his own backbenchers. And we're not going to vote for a bill that increases welfare expenditure even further. So anyway, as a result of his weakness, taxes are going to go up for everybody. It's got nothing to do with fairness. That is an extremely lame excuse. It's a symptom or a consequence of Labour's abject failure on the economy.
We've been running an interview that we did with the Commissioner of Metropolitan Police, Mark Rowley, in which he says that the racial disparities in homicides in the capital are, I'm quoting him here, shameful for the city. Do you agree?
Yes, I do. I think the fact that black Londoners, particularly, we should be specific, it's young men, and indeed boys, I mean, down to the age of potentially as young as 13 or 14, who are affected by violence, often gang-related violence, often knife-related. We have to do more. It's just not good enough. The fact that Labour and Sadiq Khan are causing the Metropolitan Police to shrink this year is deeply alarming in this context. Mark Rowley has said they're going to lose 1,500 police officers this year. Those are police officers who should be on the streets protecting all of London's community. So the police do need to do, that's extremely bad that Labour have done that to the police. But with the resources they have, there is more that should be done.
This is not a new problem. What do you wish you had done that you didn't do to tackle this issue when you were in charge?
Well, there are all kinds of things, initiatives that were commenced previously, things like violence reduction units, which were set up in the 20 most urban forces, designed to intervene early with youngsters getting on the wrong track.
By the look of it, they failed.
So I think more does need to be done, right? So one of the things I was working on late in the time of the last government, which I really hope the new government will continue, is doing work to identify individuals in each borough at a young age, like early teens, who are at risk of getting onto the wrong track, to make a more intensive intervention. I saw this actually in Croydon, where kids as young as like 12 or 13 can be on the cusp of getting into gangs. But if you intervene early, you can stop that. But you do also, besides preventative work, need to be policing on the streets. And that does include using stop and search more to take knives off the street.
Well, yes, but you've got to have cops to do that. And though Mark Rowley is very polite about this, he does make the point that for the last 3 years, they've actually had to cope with a reducing budget. 2 of those 3 years were your years. That was a mistake, wasn't it?
Well, no, the Met Police budget in cash terms has gone up.
In real terms, effectively.
Well, no, even adjusting for inflation, the budget has been going up. And actually, across England and Wales as a whole, at the end of our time in government, we delivered record-ever numbers of police. Unfortunately, due to Sadiq Khan's incompetence in London, they didn't get all of the extra police they could have done because he didn't bother recruiting them. And now, this year, let me finish, Trevor, this year, we're going to see police numbers in London falling thanks to the Labour government and Sadiq Khan.
I'm sure Sadiq Khan is not going to agree that this was his fault. But the point is that this has happened on your watch as well as the new government. Isn't it time that on this particular thing, children are dying on the capital streets. You guys just stopped blaming each other and thought about how you might work together to stop it. This has been going on for a decade.
Yeah, look, I think police numbers are important. But look, there are two things we need to do, and I've touched on both of them already. One is the preventative piece, intervening early, not when someone's already 16 or 17 and involved in a gang, but much younger.
Yeah, that's
12 or 13.
That's not the question I asked you.
Well, that's something which we were doing in government, and I would certainly support the Labour government to continue. You asked about things we'd work together on. That's one of them. I think the second area is being willing to actually take action on the street to enforce safety, and that does include having the confidence to use stop and search. And I will support Mark Rowley in using stop and search to take knives off the street, because that does save lives.
All right. Talking about action on the streets, is it really sensible for politicians to be encouraging to confront lawbreakers in the way that Robert Jenrick has done with people who have been travelling for free on the tube?
Well, he was drawing attention to a really serious problem, which is the huge number of people evading fares, while the authorities, both Transport for London personnel and the police, basically stand by and do nothing. I think he was quite right to draw attention to it.
But maybe brave of him to front up to somebody, but encouraging people to do that is surely encouraging them to endanger themselves.
Well, I think it's right to draw attention to it, as he did. And to be honest, to call attention and to call out criminality, including by members of the public, is a good thing. Get the police, call it out, call the police, and get the authorities involved. It's a good thing to do.
I put this to the Commissioner, and he described it as politicking. It is their job, not your job. Really, seriously, is this a sensible thing to do, to encourage people to get into this?
I think calling out
vigilante justice.
I think calling out criminality, as Robert did, is a good idea.
But he's doing more than calling out. He confronted somebody directly.
And he's perfectly entitled to do that.
Is that smart? Is that sensible? Is that responsible?
Yeah, I think he was right to do that, because people are breaking the law. They're taking the mickey, to be quite honest. And calling attention to that is a good thing to do. And there has actually been a little bit of action that has followed as a result. Not enough, I would add.
All right. Can you find it in your heart to congratulate the Home Secretary for achieving something that you and your predecessors failed to do, which is to strike a returns deal with the French?
Well, I'm not going to be congratulating the Labour government or the Home Secretary for presiding over record-ever numbers of illegal immigrants crossing the Channel. This year so far... This year so far has been the worst ever.
I asked you, she made a deal. Wouldn't it be gracious to say... you did something?
Not really, because this deal will only see about 6% of illegal immigrants who arrive in the UK getting returned to France. And the idea that, therefore, 94% can stay here is going to have any effect is absolutely ludicrous. Of course, if 94% of illegal immigrants who cross can stay in the UK, that is no deterrent whatsoever. What might have been a deterrent is a 100% removal policy, which was ready under the Rwanda scheme. It went through all those court battles. It was ready to go, Trevor, as you know, just after the election, but they cancelled it.
When you say 100% Rwanda, I mean...
They cancelled it just before it was due to start.
There are 4 or 5 people got on a flight to Rwanda, and all of them were politicians. You didn't remove a single person to Rwanda.
Because, as I just said, it hadn't started. It was due to start just after the election on the 24th of July. I can be very precise, but Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper cancelled it just days before it was due to start. And what has happened since then? Numbers have surged by over 40%.
Just to remind me, because maybe my memory is failing me here, but I think the capacity that you had for removing people was something like 300. There are 50,000 people coming across the Channel this year, probably. Yeah. So there wasn't... The Rwanda scheme would have had almost no impact at all.
No, that's not true. So there was not a numerical cap on the number who could have been sent to Rwanda. And what you also find, to make a second point, is that once you start removing 100% of arrivals, within just a few months, like 2 or 3 months, people stop attempting the crossing, because why would you? Now, a very similar approach worked in Australia 12 or 13 years ago. The same approach would have worked here, and it was a massive mistake by Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper to cancel that scheme just days before it started, and as a result, numbers have surged, and this year so far has been the worst ever. Their plan to smash the gangs, by the way, which they used to talk about a lot, you don't hear them say a word about that because it has so laughably failed.
All right, this week your former party chair, Jake Berry, joined Reform. How many Conservative MPs are there on your defection watch list?
Well, I don't have a defection watch list. I would imagine, however, the answer is 0, because I don't think Conservative MPs are going to be taking
Seriously?
them. Well, I don't think so, because look, if you look at Reform, they've got good slogans.
Just remember, when you say this, it is recorded. Are you sure that you zero MPs are going to leave and defect to Reform?
Well, I'd be astonished if anyone did, because Reform have good slogans, but they've got no specific concrete policies. We, for example, have tabled a border protection bill, a deportation bill, with concrete specific ideas. Reform don't have specific and credible ideas. And on welfare, that we touched on earlier, Reform plan to increase welfare expenditure, get rid of the two-child cap, which means taxes will have to go up. And I think no responsible Conservative would want to see welfare going up even more and taxes going up, which is what a Reform government would end up delivering. That is not part of the DNA of any Conservative MP.
Chris Philp, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.